The USS Los Angeles was given to the US as part of World War I reparations. On the 25th of August 1927, when docked at New Jersey Naval Base, the rear of the ship rose straight into the air, then completed a 180-degree flip. Why did the ship and its 25 onboard crew survive unharmed? I'll repeat that. The USS Los Angeles was given to the US as part of World War I reparations. On the 25th of August 1927, while docked at a New Jersey naval base, the rear of the ship rose straight into the air, then completed a 180-degree flip. Why did the ship and its 25 onboard crew survive unharmed?
1927, you said.
25th of August 1927.
They were all at some crazy party, man. It was a speakeasy time. The boat was flipping out. Everything was going wild.
Witnesses said the last words said on board were, "Watch this."
Although, if you are drunk, apparently you are more likely to survive a fall from height.
Yeah, because you ragdoll, right? Like you don't have any tension in your body, so you're more likely to flop and you're less likely to seriously injure yourself. I mean, it's like a 2% chance versus a 1% chance, I think. Like
it's still not something you want to try, but...
When we say it was lifted in the air, a velocity at which it was lifted in the air, do we know if it was lifted fast or slowly?
I don't believe I have been given a speed. I don't think the speed is the relevant thing here.
And when we say 180 degrees, if you imagine a Pringle tube, are we saying 180 degrees and the Pringle tube is rotated like this about its ends?
If you have the axis of the Pringles tube, you know, going...
Why are we going with Pringles tube?
A radially symmetric object.
I got it, Alec. This worked for me.
Yeah, and now I've called that out. I'm like, I can't think of any other cylinders that actually work. You're right. Pringles tube is the right word.
So if you imagine your Pringles tube, other hypotheticals are probably available, then imagine that you drill two holes in the middle of the tube, right? So halfway down, and then you flip the whole thing 180 degrees. So where the plastic cap was at the top, now you've got the silvery bit at the top, and the plastic cap is on the bottom.
All right. So the back half of this boat is going in that axis all the way round. It's like someone doing a handstand and then just kind of falling over.
Yes, precisely.
All right.
Was this perhaps a training exercise where they put sailors inside and tried to find out and teach them how to deal with being upside down and what have you?
I mean, there was a ship that did that, like, by design. It got decommissioned, I think, last year, called the RP Flip, which was a research vessel that went out as a regular boat and then, when it got to the bit of water it needed to stay in for a while, would turn on that axis. So half the vessel was underwater, half of it was above water, and it was like a pen bobbing vertically. And the entire thing was designed to do that. So there were 2 sinks in each kitchen and 2 toilets in each bathroom, and the whole thing would just go through a flip motion. I suspect in 1927, the USS Los Angeles was not designed to do that. But that's
I'm just going to look at my notes. No.
But that's the kind of motion we're talking about for the back half of the ship. All right.
Yeah, precisely. And it was not a training exercise. This was not intentional.
Okay. So with these questions, what happens when I listen to them is every single new piece of information suddenly switches my train of thought, because I was like, okay, we haven't necessarily said, we know it's the USS Los Angeles, but that could be like a model of a ship, like doesn't have to be an actual ship, but then there were people on board it. And then I was like, okay, if something had flipped, could it be, it's like out at sea, but then it was docked and it was in New Jersey. So it's unlikely to be some like hurricane season situation. So every single little silly idea that I had has just evaporated away. But it also is interesting. I mean, in terms of it flipping, is it, and it is docked, but it's like, is it being pulled up from a crane? Like, is someone taking it up accidentally because they were meant to be like pulling both of it up to move it somewhere, but one of the cranes wasn't working, so it just kept pulling one side and it like flipped as an accident in that way, kind of thing?
There were no cranes involved, I can tell you that.
Or maybe it's designed to do this, right? This was war reparations. This came in from presumably Germany, given it's after the Second World War.
Yes, it came from Germany.
So it's been renamed the USS Los Angeles.
It was originally known as ZR3.
Could it have been like a prototype submarine or something like that. If we're talking about something shaped like a Pringles tube. I don't know if it was shaped like a Pringles tube. I've just got Pringles tube stuck in my head now. Is it? I feel like this is not a normal ship. I feel like there is something that has been given the name USS Los Angeles because the Navy's got control of it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it is a traditional ship. Because like the Royal Navy calls their naval bases HMS.
Yeah, you're on the right lines. Lakehurst, New Jersey, which is where it was docked, was not a normal naval base.
Wait. Okay, this is so silly. But I was on a podcast last year where we were talking about modes of transport and people had to pick their favorite modes of transport. And someone said a ship, but they didn't mean a boat ship. They meant like a Zeppelin airship situation, So is it some other type of ship that's not like like the Navy thing is kind of throwing us off?
It's a Zeppelin. It is a Zeppelin. The USS Los Angeles was a Zeppelin. I remember reading that somewhere. And because and so it's being pulled over by the wind and the folks on board are just in the basket and they're okay. It's been pulled up. I've seen a photo of this somewhere, I'm sure.
There's an incredible photo of this where the airship, it's technically it's the tail, not the stern, that's gone all the way up into the air. And it's basically just hangs there. And as far as we know, this is the only time an airship's got in that position and made it out of it. Because what happened was the tail rudders had been tilted at an angle, and then a gust of wind caught the tail of the ship and basically flipped it over. So there were 25 crew on board, and they weren't in a basket, they were hanging onto girders on the outside, and then basically held on and corrected the error when it was parallel to the ground in the other direction.
That's terrifying.
Right.
I feel like that's even wilder that they were okay. Like the idea of like, how are they okay? It's like, oh, don't worry, it was just an airship. They were just flipping in the air. Like that seemed even crazier.
Wait, that's worse.
And this is presumably enormous. I mean, if there is a room for 25 people to be hanging on girders on it, this is presumably enormous. And so you go 90 degrees up, you're now dozens of meters higher from the ground than you were.
In the picture of the Los Angeles above its tether, I'd say that the height of the airship at its tallest point is maybe 5 times the height of the tether that it was attached to.
Oh my goodness.
So you were right, Alec. It did look like a Pringles tube.
Yep.
It really did.
One.